Welcome to our channel. Today we are going to study a part of biology known as genes. We are going to study this part with questions and answers for a better understanding. The first question we have here says, the segments of DNA that influence characters transmitted from parents to their offspring are called dash. A. Genes. B. Mitosis. C. Meiosis. D. Leukocytes. In this question, the correct answer is A. Genes. So genes are segments of DNA molecule that influence greatly traits or characters that are transmitted from parents to their offspring. So that segment of DNA that plays a great role in coordinating characters that move from generation to generation are called genes. The next question says, the total complement of genes in an organism is best described as dash. A. Genome. B. Traits. C. Alleles. D. Chromosomes. In this question, the correct answer is A. Genome. So genome is the total complement of genes in an organism, both the genes that control different traits and the different versions of these genes called alleles. So the total complement of genes, including the different versions known as alleles in an organism, is known as the genome of a particular organism, or is generally known as genome. The next question says, the process of entering new genetic information into a cell for the purpose of modifying its characteristics is called dash. A. Genetic engineering. B. Pathology. C. Variation. D. Osmosis. In this question, the correct answer is A. Genetic engineering. This genetic engineering is the process of manipulating a cell by incorporating a new genetic data into that cell in order to modify the characteristics of that cell. So through this process called genetic engineering, scientists are able to produce even different products that are very useful in solving a lot of health problems. So genetic engineering plays a great role in getting different products that are useful to life. The next question says, genes that promote uncontrolled cell division are called dash. A. Oncogenes. B. Enzyme. C. Hormones. D. Digenes. In this question, the correct answer is A. Oncogenes. Oncogenes are genes that promote uncontrolled cell division, and research have shown that these genes can trigger uncontrolled division leading to cancer. So these genes are the genes that promote cancer in people, because cancer is mainly due to uncontrollable cell division in an individual. So these genes called oncogenes are also regarded as cancer genes because they promote uncontrolled cell division in a human being or an organism. The next question says, a gene that codes for a positive cell cycle regulator is best described as dash. A. Tumor suppressor gene, B, proto-oncogene, C, oncogene, D, enzyme. In this question, the correct answer is B, proto-oncogene. This proto-oncogene is a gene that codes for a positive cell cycle regulator in an organism. And research have shown that when this proto-oncogene undergoes mutation, it can lead to production of an oncogene that will now promote cancer development in a human being. So this proto-oncogene can undergo mutation. Mutation means sudden change in the genetic makeup of an organism. So the genes found in an organism can undergo mutation. Chromosomes can also undergo mutation. So when proto-oncogene are mutated, there will be production of oncogene. But this proto-oncogene plays a great role in coordinating or encoding for a positive cell cycle regulator. So this positive cell cycle regulator is the mechanism of ensuring, or is a mechanism or is a metabolic activity in a cell that ensures that the cell function in a way it ought to be. The next question says, a gene that codes for a negative cell cycle regulator is best described as dash. A, tumor suppressor gene, B, enzyme, C, hormone, D, none of the above. In this question, the correct answer is A, tumor suppressor gene. Tumor suppressor gene is a gene that codes for a negative cell cycle regulator in an individual. This gene ensures that there is no uncontrollable cell division that will lead to development of cancer in a human being. So this gene suppresses cancer cell growth in an organism. So that's why it is called tumor suppressor gene. The next question says, the ABO blood group is an example of dash. A, multiple alleles and incomplete dominance. B, multiple alleles and codominance. C, incomplete dominance and codominance. D, incomplete dominance only. In this question, the correct answer is B, multiple alleles and codominance. Research have shown in genetic studies that the human blood group system, known as ABO blood group system, is an example of multiple alleles and codominance. Alleles are the different versions of a particular gene that control a particular trait in an organism. For instance, in this human blood group system, these traits is controlled by a gene, but we have three different versions of these genes that work together in ensuring that organism's metabolic activities are maintained. So the next question says, the set of genes in bacteria that enable them to utilize lactose as an alternative source of energy production when glucose is lacking is best described as dash. A, lactoperon. B, glucoperon. C, glycoperon. D, thiolane. In this question, the correct answer is A, lactoperon. This lactoperon is a set of genes in bacteria, especially Escherichia coli and other bacteria, that enable them to utilize a carbohydrate known as lactose as an alternative source of energy production when there is absence of glucose in their environment or in their cells. So when they lack glucose, these genes will help them to utilize lactose in making energy for their survival. The next question says, the change in the frequency of existing alleles in a population is called dash. A. Genetic drift. B. Chromosomes. C. Chromatids. D. Enzyme. In this question, the correct answer is A. Genetic drift. Genetic drift is the random change in the frequency of existing alleles in a population. So when there is a random change in the frequency of existing alleles in a population, such change is best described as genetic drift. The next question says, genetic drift can lead to dash in the genetic diversity of a population. A. Increase in genetic diversity. B. Decrease in genetic diversity. C. All of the above. D. None of the above. In this question, the correct answer is B. Decrease in the genetic diversity of a population. Research have shown that when there is genetic drifts in a population, it can lead to the reduction in the genetic diversity of that population, especially a smaller population. The next question says, the combination of all the genes found in a population is best described as dash. A. Genetic drift. B. Gene pool. C. Chromosome. D. Chromatids. In this question, the correct answer is B. Gene pool. Gene pool is the total genes found in a population, both the normal genes and the different versions of these genes known as alleles. So the combination of all the genes found in a given population is known as gene pool. And this gene pool is very important. The knowledge of gene pool is very useful in doing research concerning the genetic makeup of a population. The next question says, which of the following affects the genes of an organism? A. Mutation. B. Temperature. C. Chemicals. D. All of the above. In this question, the correct answer is D. All of the above. There are different factors that can affect the genetic arrangement or the genes of an organism. One of these factors that can affect the genetic makeup of an organism is mutation. Mutation means sudden change in the genetic makeup of an organism. So when there is mutation, it can affect the way the genes are arranged on the chromosomes of an organism. This mutation can make genes to deviate from their normal way of expression in an organism, and a lot of undesirable traits can be observed in that organism. And studies have shown that temperature can also affect the genes of an organism. So temperature fluctuations in the environment can have a great effect on the way genes express themselves in an organism. Research have shown that when an individual is prone to chemicals, chemicals can affect the molecular arrangement in an organism. When there is when harmful chemicals get into the system of an organism, they can affect the arrangement of genes of that organisms. All these things are different factors that can affect the genes of an organism, and when any of these factors trigger or change the way genes are arranged, those genes will begin to display or begin to express themselves in a way that is not okay in that organism or in an organism. So all these things are different factors that affect the genes of an organism. The next question says, the knowledge of genes is highly useful in determining the paternity of a baby through DNA tests. A. True. B. False. C. All of the above. D. None of the above. In this question, the correct answer is A. True. So the knowledge of genes is highly useful in determining the paternity of a baby through DNA test. So studies have shown that the paternity of a baby can even be identified even before the baby is born, and scientists apply the knowledge of genes and many things concerning gene arrangement in the system in finding the paternity of a baby, because genes are segments of DNA that control traits that move from generation to generation. The next question says, a genetic condition resulting in extra fingers or toes in an individual is best described as dash. A. Polydactyly. B. Monoenzyme. C. Zygote. D. Chorion. In this question, the correct answer is A. Polydactyly. This polydactyly is a genetic condition resulting in extra fingers or toes in an individual. This genetic issue makes an individual to have even 6 fingers, or it can even make an individual to have 7 toes instead of 5. It's the normal fingers that someone should have is 5, but when there is polydactyly, the fingers of that individual can be 6 or even 7. So this is a serious genetic issue in an individual. If this is the first time you're watching our video, if this is the first time you're joining this channel, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel so that you can study other topics that we have treated in many of our videos. In this channel, we make educational videos in biology.